Hey friends, Clinton here. Have you ever wondered how leaders manage to guide their teams despite differing egos, opinions, and conflicts of interest? How do they manage the balance between conflict and consensus? That's the question we're going to be answering in today's video. So if you're a team leader, you're aspiring to be one, or you're just interested about leadership dynamics, then stay tuned for this video. Firstly, welcome back to the channel, especially those that are here for the first time. On this channel, we speak about mindset, productivity, personal development, and we make it enjoyable and practical for all of our viewers. Now, let's dive into the leadership maze and dissect the careful balance that leaders need to maintain between conflict and consensus. And if you stick around till the end, I've got a special tool that will change the game in helping you to manage conflict and building consensus. So let's get started. When we talk about leadership, we often think about a captain steering a ship through stormy seas. Conflict and consensus are the storm and the calm of the sea, respectively. They are two sides of the same coin in leadership dynamics. Too much conflict and the ship tips over. Too much consensus and progress stalls. Balancing the two is an effective art that every leader must manage. Now, in my career, I had to manage many individuals, and to be honest, conflict and consensus was really something that I grappled with on an ongoing basis. Firstly, let's address conflict. Conflict often carries a negative connotation, but it's not inherently bad. It's just a natural part of the human interaction. In a team, differing opinions can often lead to conflict, but it also fosters innovation, creativity, and growth. The key here is healthy conflict, which focuses on ideas and not individuals. Managing conflict is all about fostering an environment where disagreements can be expressed without any fear. And there are several techniques that you can use to accomplish this. The first one is active listening, and that means not just hearing, but understanding the viewpoints of all your team members. Very often we're listening, but we're actually listening with the intent to respond rather than really understanding what the other person is saying to us. The second one is open communication, and that is about encouraging everyone to share their own viewpoints. You can't have an open communication environment if you're only listening to the opinions of just a select few. The third one is to focus on solutions, and that is to shift the emphasis from personal disagreements to problem solving. Really about asking each other, what is the problem that we're trying to solve here? Sometimes it can get heated in conflict situations, but oftentimes what tends to happen is that people rather want to be right than solving the problem at hand. What you can do is to take a step back and ask yourselves, what is the actual issue at hand? What problem are we trying to solve? Rather than trying to be right. Remember, as a leader, you have to set the example. So show respect, even in disagreements. I'll never forget, a couple of years ago, I was sitting in a meeting with my boss, not just my boss, but my boss's boss, and there were other leaders in this meeting. And there was something that was said to my boss's boss, the CEO at the time, and he got completely heated and he lashed out at the other individual. And I was quite taken aback, as well as everyone else in the room, because you were expecting someone of that stature to maintain his composure, especially in that sort of environment. However, later on in the meeting, he did acknowledge what had happened, and he apologized not just to the other person that he lashed out at, but as well as everyone else in the room. And I thought that that was a great sign of a leadership quality. And of course, what happened in that situation was that he let his emotion get the better of him, and he responded in that way, which was in a negative light. Of course, the fact that he apologized to everyone was appreciated, and we did walk away from the meeting with consensus. So the key thing that I took away from the meeting, that you have to maintain composure as far as possible, regardless of which situation you're in, because you have a lot of individuals that are looking at you as a leader and expecting you to maintain that calm, composed viewpoint, especially in conflict situations, because you are setting the tone and precedent for everyone else within your team. So let's pivot to consensus. Consensus is when all team members agree on a decision. It creates a sense of unity and shared responsibility. But beware of groupthink, where all individuals simply agree for the sake of agreement, because that stifles innovation. To build true consensus, there's a couple of steps that you can follow. The first is to clarify the decision. Ensure that everyone knows what's at stake. I can't tell you how many times that I had put something out there and was trying to get consensus among the individuals, and I didn't take the time to explain things properly and truly explain to individuals why we were making this decision and what was at stake. And what happened was, because I was trying to move through quickly through that process, a couple of days or a couple of weeks down the line, all of a sudden I didn't have that agreement anymore, because people didn't truly understand what they were agreeing on at that point. So really take the time upfront to make sure that you explain in detail to everyone what's at stake. The second one is to encourage participation. Give everyone a chance to voice their thoughts, not just to individuals that are typically the ones that speak up in meetings and speak up in team situations, but especially the quiet ones in the corner, because you want to ensure that you are giving the chance to every single person so that their voice can be heard, and ensuring that you're setting that precedent for other individuals in the team, not just the ones that are typically the ones that are always the loudest in the room, because those are the individuals that of course are great at getting their opinions across, but you want to make sure that you're listening to those that aren't necessarily saying anything, but of course explain to them the reason why you want to hear their opinions. The third is to synthesize ideas. Combine everyone's input into a solution that the team can support. And I believe as a leader, this is really the key role that you have, is to ensure that you're hearing everyone's opinions and getting everyone's perspective, but being able to synthesize and take all of those opinions and then get to one solution that every single person buys into so that you all can move forward. It's one of the hardest things to do, but ultimately it's why you are in a leadership position. And lastly, remember that consensus takes time. So remember to be patient and persistent as you try and build that consensus within your team. So how do we balance conflict and consensus? Key lies in creating an environment that values both. Encourage diverse opinions, but also aim for agreement. Allow for healthy conflict, but strive for a unified decision. It's a tricky tightrope, but it is a necessary one. As promised, here's a special tool to help you, which is called the Leader's Balance Sheet. A simple, powerful tool where you list down all the conflict and the consensus points of individuals on your team. The visual representation helps you understand the dynamics at play and where balance is needed. So here's how you fill it out. On the one side, you list all the areas of conflict, the differing opinions, and the areas of friction. And on the other side, you note down the areas of consensus, all your common goals, and where there's shared values. And now your job as a leader is really to find the balance between these two areas. Let's run through an example. Let's say you're leading a product development team. There's conflict over product design. Some want a minimalist design and others want a feature-rich approach. That goes on the conflict side of the balance sheet. On the consensus side, everyone agrees that user experience is paramount. They all want to create a product that users will love and find easy to use. That's a common goal. As a leader, you could propose a solution that caters to both sides. A minimalist approach with optional feature extensions. That way you're not only resolving the conflict, but reaching a consensus that respects both sides. Balancing conflict and consensus is an ongoing challenge for every leader. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to learn and adapt. But with the right tools and mindset, it can become a source of growth for you and your team. Remember, conflict and consensus are not enemies. They are two forces that, when balanced right, they can lead to new levels of creativity, collaboration, and innovation. That's all for today, friends. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment below, and share it with someone that you think would get value from it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you get an update of any upcoming videos. As always, remember, leadership is an ongoing development journey, and it's really something that if you can apply these lessons that you learned in today's video, then I honestly believe that it can help you to not only improve your leadership abilities, but to take your team to radical heights of achievement. Until next time, friends, see you in the next video.